Dark Myth WuKong. Chapter 11. Setting the stage in the instant the Macaque King's life faded. The bull demon king abruptly ceased all movement, staring blankly at the corpse of the Macaque King as it slowly dissolved into blood. His eyes were vacant. While the bull demon king inexplicably froze, the others did not. On the contrary, the Macaque King's death only fueled their frenzy. They all knew this was war, and in war, if you don't fight with your life, you lose it. So, most of them, including Tang Sanzang, unleashed the most powerful attacks of their lives. What about the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's side? The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel had also sustained some injuries, but he forcefully suppressed them due to the critical situation. After all, those demon kings were no ordinary beings. Especially the Rhino Demon's diamond bracelet and the 100-eyed Demon Lord's 100 beams of light had inflicted considerable damage. However, the most severely injured was the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu. The clash between his 8 trigrams fire and Tang Sanzang's salvation flower rain had been devastating. Not only had more than half of the 8 trigrams fire dissipated, but Lao Tzu was also coughing up blood, his face pale and dispirited.
The salvation flower rain truly lives up to its reputation. It can actually extinguish my 8 trigrams fire. Cough, cough. Indeed, there are heavens beyond heavens, and people beyond people.
It turned out that Tang Sanzang's released salvation flower petals, empowered by that green leaf, could contend with Lao Tzu's 8 trigrams fire. Moreover, a single petal could extinguish a strand of the flame. Extinguishing a single flame might seem insignificant, but Lao Tzu's flames, though numerous, were finite, while the salvation flower petals were endless. With each petal extinguishing a flame, the balance shifted. Less than a third of Lao Tzu's flames remained, and the flame's extinction had severely weakened him. In contrast, aside from a slight dimming of color, Tang Sanzang's salvation flower appeared unscathed, and Tang Sanzang himself, apart from excessive magic power consumption, had suffered no other injuries. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel witnessed all this, and couldn't help but sigh.
My senior brother is unparalleled in alchemy, but in battle he has always been a bit lacking.
In the first round of probing, both sides had gained a certain understanding of each other's abilities. What followed would be a life-or-death confrontation. They held their breath, their expressions solemn.
Senior brother, be careful. Retreat if you can't win. I'll cover your retreat.
The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel telepathically warned Lao Tzu. On the other side, they also began to strategize.
Master Sanzang, Lao Tzu is still your opponent. We will fully restrain the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel. Master, try to heavily injure Lao Tzu, and then we'll join forces to deal with the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel.
This was the body ancestor's telepathic communication to everyone. Initially, among them, the body ancestor was the strongest, and he had been suppressing the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel. However, he had been momentarily distracted by Sun Wukong's situation, allowing the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel to break free. The body ancestor felt somewhat apologetic about this. He should have been the one to face Lao Tzu. However, he hadn't expected Tang Sanzang to achieve apotheosis at that crucial moment, becoming the strongest among them. Furthermore, Lao Tzu's flames countered the body ancestor's body tree. Therefore, Lao Tzu was assigned to Tang Sanzang. As it turned out, the salvation flower was indeed effective against the 8 trigrams fire. The second round of attacks was brewing. This time, the first to strike wasn't the bull demon king, but the remaining 5 great sages and the 3 demons of Lion Camel Ridge. The Flood Demon King's arms shook, and the armor on his body shattered, revealing a pair of dragon claws. They were extremely sharp and enormous. The Rock Demon King didn't attack alone this time. He joined forces with the golden-winged Great Peng. Both transformed into their true forms, albeit much smaller. The 2 rocks intertwined their wings and soared upwards. As they ascended, thunder and wind roared, and sparks flew in all directions. Similarly, the Lion Demon King and the Azure Lion of Lion Camel Ridge joined forces, transforming into their reduced true forms. The two ferocious lions unleashed their claws, tearing through the air with brilliant sparks, and then charged towards the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel in mid-air. Yes, they were running in the air. Following these 3 waves of attacks, there was no further movement. However, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel dared not underestimate these 7 individuals' attacks. Their combined power was not as simple as 1 + 1. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel raised his hand and launched 3 magic treasures. One was called the Purple Lightning Hammer, a supreme primordial spiritual treasure. It was a primordial treasure of lightning law, a powerful weapon used by the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel to subdue demons. Another was the Grand Sui Immortal, a supreme primordial spiritual treasure. When this treasure was unleashed, anyone struck by it would have their soul scattered, flesh and bones destroyed, and their cultivation from thunder tribulations instantly reduced to nothingness. The last one was the Purple Cloud Whisk, a supreme primordial spiritual treasure. Its power and function were unknown. It was a treasure held by the ancestor Hongjun, who bestowed it upon the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel during the treasure distribution. After unleashing the 3 treasures, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's face also turned slightly pale. However, the Flood Demon King and the others didn't give him time to breathe. The 3 waves of attacks from the 6 had already arrived. The 2 rocks' wings of wind and thunder collided with the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's Purple Lightning Hammer. Both were lightning-based attacks. Upon impact, deafening thunder roared. Looking down, the 2 rocks were sent flying backward, and the Purple Lightning Hammer returned to the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's hand, still trembling. Immediately, the 2 lions' attacks arrived. Sharp auras assaulted him. 2 lions' massive claws struck the Purple Cloud Whisk. This time, only the 2 lions were sent flying, their claws bleeding profusely from severed fingertips. The whisk remained unmoved. Then came the screams. It was the Yellow-Robed Demon King and the White Elephant of Lion Camel Ridge. These 2 were not particularly strong. Facing the Grand Sui Immortal, they suffered heavy injuries, their bodies covered in blood. Seeing these results, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel breathed a sigh of relief. However, before he could fully relax, a massive dragon claw loomed before his eyes. It turned out that the previous 6 attacks were just a feint for this claw. A hint of shock flickered in the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's eyes. It was too late to summon a magic treasure. He could only barely use his hand holding the Purple Lightning Hammer to block this attack. A defiant dragon roar echoed everywhere. The sound was filled with intense vengeance and triumph. Although the Flood Demon King's claw was deflected by the Purple Lightning Hammer, causing his own claws and muscles to tear, the immense force also drove the Purple Lightning Hammer into the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's chest. Finally, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel could no longer suppress his injuries. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. In this battle, the powerful Lord of the Heavenly Citadel was finally injured. However, this was not the end. The injured Lord of the Heavenly Citadel wiped the blood from his mouth and glanced at the Supreme, Lord Lao Tzu. That glance was insignificant, but it caused the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's soul to almost leave his body. At this moment, something even more terrifying happened to the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel. As he turned away from Lao Tzu, he realized he was trapped in a formation. Moreover, this formation was vaguely familiar, but one he had never encountered before. A thought flashed through his mind. All the previous attacks were just a cover. The true killing move was this formation. So, what exactly was this formation? Want to know? Perhaps you've already guessed. It was none other than the infamous star formation of the heavens of the demon race. Set up by the white-boned demon, the rhino demon, the 9-headed demon, and the numerous elite demons behind them. It was the #1 killing formation of the demon race, the star formation of the heavens. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel was shocked. This star formation of the heavens had a long-standing reputation for its ferocity. Even as a master of formations, he wasn't confident in breaking it. Despite his shock, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel could only persevere and probe the formation. Once trapped in the star formation of the heavens, it was as if one had entered a glittering, starry sky. All that could be seen were countless stars. Nothing else could be seen, and nothing could be heard. Moreover, no matter which direction you flew, no matter how far you flew, you would never reach the end. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel stopped moving and closed his eyes. The immortal slaughtering sword formation suddenly appeared, hovering above his head. Although it wasn't a formation, both were ancient and ferocious, sharing some similarities. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel intended to use the mysteries of the immortal slaughtering sword formation to decipher the star formation of the heavens. After a long time, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel opened his deep eyes, and a hint of smugness appeared at the corner of his mouth.
A bunch of rabble relying on a flawed and incomplete star formation of the heavens, and they think they can trap me? Wishful thinking.
With that, the immortal slaughtering sword formation shone brightly and began to spin rapidly, radiating countless sharp sword lights. These sword lights shot towards the countless stars in the star formation of the heavens. A moment later, space trembled. The originally flawless starry space revealed a subtle flaw, and an aura not belonging to this space drifted into it.
A flaw has appeared after all. Watch me use the immortal slaughtering sword to shatter this superficial starry facade.
Before he finished speaking, the immortal slaughtering sword formation conjured an enormous immortal slaughtering sword, which gently swayed and unleashed a casual strike. Its target was the needle-sized flaw. In an instant, another earth-shattering sound erupted. Space quaked, and a Taoist priest in a robe emerged from the void. The priest wore ornate Taoist robes, and his eyes were filled with undisguised triumph. This priest was none other than the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel, who had broken free from the formation. What about the elite demons who set up the formation? As the formation shattered, the elite demons and their leaders were all thrown back, coughing up blood, forcibly setting up a flawed, ancient, and ferocious formation, especially to trap a sage who had attained enlightenment for tens of thousands of years. The difficulty was unimaginable. Just maintaining the formation had exhausted their magic power. They didn't even have enough power left to activate the formation's killing moves. Otherwise, even if the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel could break the formation, it wouldn't have been so easy. However, when the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's triumphant gaze fell upon the almost dying Supreme Lord Lao Tzu, his triumph vanished, replaced by overwhelming rage and fear. It turned out that while the demon leaders used the formation to trap the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel, Tang Sanzang had desperately activated the Salvation Flower, forcefully extinguishing all the 8 trigrams fire behind the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu. The price he paid was the depletion of his magic power and damage to his foundation from forcibly using the Salvation Flower. The Salvation Flower consumed 2 green leaves, leaving only the incomplete and tattered veins of the remaining leaf. Only the green veins of the leaf remained. Everything else was gone.